Shalom, family, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's weekly news update. Apologize for that intro confusion. Hit the wrong button. It happens sometimes. Excuse me, you're moving so quickly, you hit the wrong button. You ever do that? Well, sometimes I do too. So there you go. There you go. You found it. My flaw. I hit the wrong button sometimes. Well, thank you so much for joining us, all of you from all over. It's a little warm down here in Arizona. So I hope you're cool wherever you are, hanging cool, enjoying some cool air, because I'll tell you what, it's getting warm in the nation. Thank you again for joining us. For those of you joining us for the first time, we do have, and you probably saw it there on the screen, our website, remnantwatch.com. That's remnantwatch.com, where you're going to find all the latest stories that we discuss. You'll also find a handy search bar, and that top banner always brings you to the latest broadcast. So very handy to know that. And as well, we always have the disaster materials there. So for those of you that want to download that, again, it's one of those things where if you're prepared, it's better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not have it. Kind of one of those things. So we just encourage people to at least be thinking, because you never know when these things can hit, and being prepared is wise. Amen. And so again, we like to cover these things from the 10,000 foot view. So for those of you that are joining us again for the first time, know that, we don't go too deep in these stories. We try to cover them, but that's why we have the website there, so that if you want to click on those stories and go a little deeper or dig a little further, you're welcome to. We like to take a look at that from a biblical perspective, like the way we like to say that. And one of our things we love to say around here is you want to be informed without being overwhelmed. And that's an important thing, especially in this hour, because there's a lot that we could be overwhelmed about. Isn't that true, folks? I mean, there's a lot that we could be freaking out about here every day. And that's why it's important that we calm down. Just once a week we do this, so we don't do it every day. People getting these updates, and I was one of them. You used to get updates too often. I said, nope, that's not good. And then you go to the other extreme, right? Where you don't even know what's going on. You're like, I checked out. I checked out. How many people did that? Oh my goodness, too many. I checked out. I don't even pay any attention anymore. Well, that violates the scripture, because we're commanded to watch. So we have to do both, but we got to kind of keep a good distance. So once a week turned out to be a good idea. And that's why we've been doing this, so we can be informed without being overwhelmed. And again, thank you for those of you who share the link and subscribe. It's always an honor and a privilege for us to hang out with you. So I don't know what else to say except, wow, cool. Thanks it's like saying, hey, you guys are all right. We're going to hang out with you a little bit. And we're just like, well, golly gee, that sounds pretty cool. So that's how it feels when you subscribe, just so you know. We're just like, well, thanks a lot. Appreciate you coming along and sticking around for a little bit. Who knows? We might become friends and hang out a lot longer. But on that note, let's get into the news. And tonight's top story, Mr. Trump is warning that we are going to have troops everywhere. And I got to tell you, we kind of saw this coming, folks. We saw the various ways in which the country was sort of coming apart. And unfortunately, it is starting to manifest right in front of us. We're going to have troops everywhere, Trump said after touching down in the Air Force in New Jersey on Sunday. We're not going to let this happen to our country. And so, of course, talking about the ICE raids, and President Trump has warned there will be troops everywhere when asked if he will take more action if the LA protests continue to rage amid fears that martial law may be declared. And in a directive Saturday, Trump invoked a legal provision allowing him to deploy federal service members when there's a, quote, rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. And that's true. He does have that power. We're going to have our troops everywhere, Trump said after touching down on Air Force One in New Jersey on Sunday. We're not going to let this happen to our country. And so he is very determined to quash all rebellion. There shall be no rebellion. We will quash it. So it's a very interesting process that we're watching here, because they're going to shut it down. In fact, the defense minister is saying that U.S. Marines will be on high alert. High alert. High alert. You can hear it now, the beeping and everything, the high alert to be deployed in LA riots. And for folks that are a little young know that LA riots tend to happen, especially in political upheaval. So Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth took to X on Saturday night to issue a stark warning to rioters on Los Angeles, California, who have been demanding the removal of ICE agents from the area. And of course, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has issued a stark warning, and he's threatening to deploy active duty Marines in Los Angeles amid riots against ICE. So this scene you're watching here, that's not going to last. If that continues, they will send in the troops, which I've only seen that happen a couple of times in my lifetime, and been very short periods of time where you've had to see American troops on American soil have to deal with things like that. It's happened only a couple of times. I can't think of exactly each situation, but I seem to remember that Columbine there were some, and it was a couple situations where I think, but it's never been extended. So, and it's antithetical to American culture. So I wouldn't expect that to last if it did happen. But it's very interesting that we've reached that level. How about that, folks? We've reached a point where, patience level has diminished. They're getting ready to go. They want to slug. That's not good. So the National Guard is going to be deployed in Los Angeles County as an anti-ICE protests are going to rage. So border czar, said the border czar Tom Homan, said his authorities are stepping up to address violence and destruction at demonstration sites. So they're not backing down. The government, the administration is coming hard for their the ICE raids, of course, the illegal immigration and so forth. So National Guard will be deployed to Los Angeles County after anti-ICE protests continue to escalate Saturday afternoon. Trump administration border czar Tom Homan said, and Fox News on Saturday. So on Saturday, tear gas was deployed at the Home Depot. Tear gas at Home Depot. Now apparently you can get tear gas at Home Depot. That's not even funny, but it's true. Hey, did you know you get tear gas at Home Depot? Apparently, if you stand out in front too long, you might get tear gas at Home Depot. So there's that. I think it's going to continue to be a little bit violent because there are some very heated opinions on both sides of these issues, and it's not going to go away. Plus, there are those who are benefiting from there being upheaval. And so I think you're going to continue to see more scenes that are meant to shock the conscience and meant to make people start to abandon all hope in normalcy and what have you so that they can bring you in something else. After all, that's how it works, folks, is they do this, problem, reaction, solution, right? And so LA immigration protests, live, Newsom brands Marine deployment to LA, Trump's deranged fantasy. Now, that dude better be quiet or they'll arrest him too. California Governor Gavin Newsom said the state's California is suing Donald Trump over his response to the violent riots in LA. Tensions exploded between the two over the weekend. And so now they're fighting it out to make more drama for the American people to legitimize their stupidity. You talk about them, you validate them, you consider them legitimate. All the while they're exerting their power, their authority. All the while they're showing it. And I mean, this is getting, to the where they're trying to get everybody going, right? So why are they putting this out? Why are they putting this out here? What for? Well, what for. They want to get the Patriots going. Come on, Patriots, get really mad. Oh, you're not mad enough. Come on, Patriots, get really mad. Here we go. Anti-ICE protesters in Los Angeles spit on and burn an American flag. That'll get you going. Won't that make you mad? Won't that make you fighting mad? They want a summer of rage. Footage shows mass individuals burning flags while police declare unlawful assembly in downtown area. Look at that, huh? Okay, so the protesters are starting to get very, very juiced up. This is summertime. It's going to be an outdoor and active summer. This is why we need to be out there getting people saved, getting people filled, getting people in the water. Big fool, that's fire out. How do we put the fire out, folks? I said, how do we put the fire out, folks? I said, we need some water. Let's get some people in the water. Put the fire out. The wrong fire. Put the right fire in. Come on, somebody. I said, come on, somebody. Hallelujah. Man, we do need the right kind of fire because the wrong kind of fire is causing a problem. That's reality, folks. Good news is this whole thing with China starting to cool down. So that's kind of good. Sort of. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what to make of half of this stuff at the time. How many of you? I love your comments too, by the way, guys. Help me out because some of this stuff is cray. And in Xinjiao, headlines say Xi is dialogue. Cooperation is the only correct choice for China. U.S. in phone call with Trump. So they are working it out. That's good to know. They got together this last week, and it looks like they've initiated some recalibration in direction of some of these things that are going on, noting that the suggestion at the U.S. side, the two countries' lead officials recently held an economic and trade meeting in Geneva. Xi said it marked an important step forward in resolving the relevant issues through dialogue and consultation, and was welcomed by both societies and the international community. Yes, well, that beats the heck out of going to war. There's that. So we're grateful you guys figured out that we're really not interested in seeing, missiles and guns used between two major superpowers. So that's kind of nice to know. You guys finally figured that out. And as a matter of fact, what we began to see is that China, of course, is favoring the Europeans, which I'm not really sure why, because they're really on the other side of their ally, Russia. So it's got to be a dig to the United States, but it's a dicey move. So you see how these things go, because it's really weird. So I don't know if this even makes any sense. But anyway, China expedites the rare earths export licenses for European companies. They also expedited rare earth export licenses for 3 U.S. auto manufacturers. So apparently their restrictions were not that real. China is set to expedite the approval of rare earths export to EU firms and will decide on its trade investigation in EU brandy imports and so forth by July 5th. So it's all of a sudden loosening its originally very tight program. And on the one hand, they act like, we're not going to sell this stuff anymore, so you guys are out. Well, you did that for a few weeks. But how many know that they need to sell this stuff? They're selling dirt, for crying out loud, right? They're selling piles of magnesium and piles of, raw rare earth material. So they're like, okay, we do need to sell this. Okay, we can only be mad for so long. All right, fine. All right, well, let the Europeans come first. It's a bunch of theatrics, and that's why, sometimes taking it too seriously, not good. It's no bueno. Don't take it too seriously. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Don't drink any coffee, though, because it's too hot. But calm down, okay? Just calm down. And, now we're seeing, of course, we saw the escalation that's going on in Eastern Europe. I think we're going to see some more conflicts that are escalating, unfortunately, folks. And I'm very sorry to report that. I'm sorry to report that we can't, as adults in 2025, I feel horrible that I have to tell my grandchildren we still haven't figured out how to just sit down, get past the bullet, shooting period, and just get to the table, because that's where it always ends up anyway. Okay, so here's another good example. And by the way, look at this shift. Zelensky has said that 20,000 missiles that were supposed to go to Ukraine went to the Middle East instead. Oops. He's reported that the United States has redirected 20,000 missiles originally intended for Ukraine to combat Russian Shan drones. And in an interview with ABC News, he basically said, we have major problems with Shaheds and we're fighting them. And, basically 20,000 missiles to fight. It wasn't explosive, but it was a special technology. And, of course, they sent it to the Middle East. What does that tell you? Well, they're expecting a conflict in a different zone. That's what it tells you. It tells you that we're about to go see a conflict in that theater of operations that I believe is going to be extremely explosive. And so I think that's foretelling for us. And we're catching that sort of head fake. We're like, whoa, did you catch that head fake? Did you guys catch that? Did you catch that? So we're following the head fake. All right. We're following the head fake. They wanted us to go this way. We're like, wait a minute. No. We're going to take a look. Okay. And what's going on in the Middle East? Ooh, well, it looks like a missile fight is gearing up because Iran purchased enough fuel materials from China for up to 800 ballistic missiles. So, what? Yeah. This week, a report in the Wall Street Journal said Iran ordered large quantities of ammonium perchlorate, a key component for solid fuel ballistic missiles from China, despite the Islamic Republic's ballistic missile program being under Western scrutiny and ongoing sensitive nuclear negotiations with the United States. So basically they're saying, you know what, you guys are going to attack us anyway. We're going to get ready for a fight. Hopefully we won't have to, but if we do have to fight, we're going to have our weapons. So this is going to get ugly, folks. If you thought this was going to get easy to deal with, no. The world's apparently in a mood to fight. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what good it does. So they still haven't given up on this failed concept that they can fight their way to happiness. I'm not really sure who gave them that idea, but I'm thinking we could probably guess. What do you think? Okay. And here we go, folks. They keep doing it. Look at this. Russia launches one of its worst, largest air attacks against Ukraine's after Ukraine's bomber raid. So they had a bomber raid that blew up some planes, and Russia launched a barrage of drones and ballistic missiles across broad swaths of Ukraine early Friday, killing at least 6 and injuring dozens of others. Days after Kiev launched a daring raid on Moscow's fleet of strategic bombers. So, wow, he's mad. I'll tell you what, that Putin, he mad. He looking mad. He looks mad now. Y'all done made him mad. That does not look pretty, by the way, folks. The footage that's coming out of that looks like it was devastating. And it's not just the deaths immediately, right? So the reason why they hit certain things is because they know that they will ripple. So they'll hit out a bridge. And you'll say, oh, that didn't kill anybody. No, but you can't get supplies anymore. Or they'll knock out a power plant. You go, oh, it didn't kill anybody. No, but the power is going to go out now. And so it's like they're not just hitting things, non-protunctly. There's a purpose to everything they're doing. And it's very dismantling. It's going to take years to recover for that part of the world. So it is not good what we're seeing there. And I just believe that this is part of what the scripture foretold. We're just having to go through it, and then we're going to look at the scripture again, and we're going to be, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Because some of this were nuanced in there that we didn't quite see in Ezekiel or in the prophet Daniel or in the book of Revelation. And there are voices we're going to go through that are going to get silenced, but not yet. So far, they're still selling. They're still lying in the market. Yes, they are. And we're going to find out more about that here in a moment. But right now, I want to just remind you all that there is an increasing conflict. And some of you are in the European theater. And so we just warn you now to be careful, to be on your guard, and to follow the Ruach as he leads you, because there may be some very hot spots that start to emerge. In fact, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer he's moving his UK military into warfighting readiness, and they're on the other side of Europe. So they're on the western tip, if you will, and so the UK must learn lessons of Ukraine and address most serious threat since the Cold War. And the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced Monday that he is moving the United Kingdom's military into warfighting readiness to address growing threats from Russia. And during a visit to the BAE Systems Governance Facility, a Navy shipbuilding yard in Glasgow, Scotland, the Prime Minister laid out 3 fundamental changes to be made in response to the country's strategic defense review. First, we're moving to a warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces, Starmer said. And when we're being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready. And frankly, to show them that we're ready to deliver peace through strength. Peace through strength. Peace through a fight. And there is some strength, there is some wisdom to that if you're dealing with an absolutely aggressive state. But I think we're all smart enough to know that's not really what we're looking at here. And we saw some things that were set up, or provocations that were advanced with an intention, with a purpose, and those did not quite work. So a lot of lives are lost in Eastern Europe, which is a sad commentary on the stupidity of adult grown-ups in the world. Nevertheless, war continues, as the scripture foretold, until the end, until the time when we beat our swords into what? Plowshares. That's where we're going. That's where we're headed, folks. That's where we're headed to. And now Putin is being urged, believe this or not, I don't know, it's crazy. He's being urged to use nuclear weapons as Russians furious at Ukraine's Pearl Harbor attack that they are absolutely upset about. And so Russian papers and military bloggers are mulling an extreme response after Ukraine launched attacks on Moscow's air bases. And Russia appears, papers and military bloggers are discussing the prospect of Russia using nuclear weapons to strike Ukraine after Kiev launched brutal attacks on Vladimir Putin's air bases. And what they know that hopefully you guys know as well is that if they were to do that, the prevailing winds would move the nuclear winter right over Russia. So that is not to their advantage. Take a look at this. British military is in chaos, hollowed out with too few to fight. So they're talking big, but do they have the manpower? Can they deliver? The government's boots in defense spending may provide British armed forces with war-winning equipment and weapons, but what about the troops needed to use them? This is becoming a problem, folks, because it's not like you can just make them. And of course, there's pressure for them to make robots, right? They're, bring me the drone army. I need the drone army. Where's Cypher Diaz? Cypher Diaz, go to those people, the floating people. Make me drone army. You guys remember that from Star Wars? Well, I think they might have been hinting at where they were going. The drone army. Here we go, folks, because they can't find people to run the stuff. They can't find folks that are confident. And this is going to get dicey. And so we do see a lot of threat. And there's a potential for this to escalate. Russia's secret nuclear changes revealed in huge security breach. And so there are some things. Russia has been undertaking large-scale modernization of its nuclear missile infrastructure for years, according to leaked classified documents cited in a media investigation. And German publication of Der Spiegel and Danish investigative group Downwash said the secret files showed architectural plans, internal layouts, and procurement records for new military installations, and the outlets published satellite imagery. They say, back up their claims. These guys are bad. We've got to get ready. We've got to pass some new laws, and we got to spend $30 trillion because we've got to get ready because they built a bunker. That's how it works, folks. They're not very good at it. You can see right through it. But that's because you're awake. You're among the few that are. So most people are like, yeah, you're right. Oh, man, bad Russians. Didn't even see the bunkers. Don't even know what they look like. Don't know anything. Don't know if there's even there. But that doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, we got to do this. It's crazy. I've been watching this slow takeover, this draconian sort of mental takeover. And it's quite amazing when you really think about it. And I do think that there's something connected with eggs. I don't know, guys. Somebody help me here. Can we take a moment here for this? What's with the eggs? Is there something with eggs connected to like your brain or your heart or some other healthy thing? Because they have been coming so hard for eggs. I mean, I haven't seen them come hard for anything like they've come for chicken eggs. And it's nonstop. It doesn't go away. So I don't know, guys. I think I'd be getting me some more chicken eggs. I think you better eat your eggs every day, man, because they're coming hard for them. Look at that. At least 1.7 million eggs are recalled as CDC and FDA investigate multi-state salmonella outbreak. Let's bring back all the eggs. Don't tell people to wash them or anything. Just bring them back. No more teaching people how to be responsible for their own cleanliness. Nope. Now we just ban it all. Look at this. The outbreak has sickened 79 people across 7 states. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, at least 21 people have been hospitalized. No deaths. But basically, they had some kind of problem. The announcement issued Friday in Hilmer, California-based distribution company recalled 1.7 million eggs, which have been sell dates ranging from March 4th to June 19th, and were sold at retailers, including Walmart and Safeway. And so, oh no. So if you had any of those, you might be not good. This outbreak may not be limited to states with known illnesses, and so scare you. I don't know what's going on with the eggs. I got a few ideas. I do. But I'd love your thoughts. Because I eat eggs pretty much every day, and they're fresh, and I don't like store-bought eggs, and I can tell right away. So there's that. But even I think the store-bought is better than not at all. I'm telling you right now, there's something about eggs you might want to dig into. Might learn about. There's a reason why they're coming for them, okay? So I just thought I'd throw that in there, just as a freebie. Getting back to this war news, back to the news. Here we go. We just took that moment to say that. Iran is preparing for Israeli-U.S. strikes, building up its air defense, according to the Financial Times, and, of course, it's reported by the Jerusalem Post. The enemies of the Iranian nation should understand that any violation of our airspace will cause them significant harm, the military had said. And so here we go, folks. They're bringing out their big guns. They're bringing out their big toys. They're saying, we're ready to fly our fireworks. What about you? And Iran has strengthened its air defense systems amid preparedness for the possibility of an American or Israeli strike attack on the country's nuclear infrastructure should negotiations fail, the Financial Times reported on Sunday, and we are witnessing an impressive improvement in the capabilities and competence of the country's air defense systems. And so they're all bragging about what they can do and what they're going to do. A lot of times they come out and, like you said, in the British press, one guy they're going, "We're going to prepare. Make the announcement. Who's gonna man the machine gun?" It's easy for you to stand in front of the mic. You're not the guy manning the machine gun. Who's manning the machine gun? All of a sudden they're going, "Anybody coming?" They're going, "I ain't going." "You're not going?" "What do you mean you're not going?" "I'm not going. I'm not gonna fight for these guys." Remember that show? Remember that Braveheart where they go, "I'm not gonna fight for these," I know they call them names, but I'm not gonna fight for these guys, they gotta start walking off. There's no Braveheart to come along and make them all, feel like fighting Russians. So this ought to get interesting as they go. We'll probably end up just getting to the negotiation table and cut this nonsense out, okay? Because that's where we're headed. And speaking of something that's kind of wild, check this out, guys. Just a little diversion. Just go off to a little bit different direction here real quick. Giant plume of Saharan dust. Did you guys hear about this? I'm like, man, coming back to the news, I was like, what's been going on for a couple of weeks? It was gone for a week, and whoo, we got Saharan dust. Look at this. A giant plume of Saharan dust is headed to Florida. So apparently Florida is the place to be, and people, even the Saharan dust wants to be there. Dust carried across the Atlantic is one of the great wonders of the weather world. And this is the significant cloud. It's the most significant cloud so far. So a giant cloud of Saharan dust, the size of the continental United States, floating over the Atlantic Ocean, is expected to spread across the Gulf Coast region this week. And so if you notice some extra sand in Florida, if you've gotten a new deposit of sand, thank the Sahara Desert, just saying. So my cousin, if you're out there and you're extra sandy this week, well, it's Saharan Desert sand, just so you know. Don't know why that's significant other than it's the beginning of hurricane season. And since we didn't have a hurricane, we got sand hurricane. I had a sand hurricane. There we go. And so here we go, folks. The biggest threat is, according to Jamie Dimon, is from within the United States. You think? We already knew that. And of course, this is a serious threat. People are worried about China. People are worried about various things going on in the world. But according to JP Morgan Chase, CEO Jamie Dimon sounded a warning on Friday on the fractious U.S. relationship with China and the enemy within. And so, of course, he says, yeah, China is a potential adversary. They're doing a lot of things well. They have a lot of problems, Dimon said. But what we're really worried about is, can we get our own act together, our own values, our own capability, our own management? And so many times we're looking outside thinking, the problem's out there, but maybe the problem's right here, right? Maybe it's right here. I like to say between the chair and the keyboard. That's the problem. It's between the chair and the keyboard. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm between. It's true, though. Sometimes the problem is between the chair and the keyboard. So we have to get better at some of the things that we've done. And I think there's a lot of people that are waking up to the reality that there isn't any A crowd coming. You're it. You're it, guys. You're the saviors. You're the ones that are going to fix it. If it doesn't get fixed by you, it isn't going to get fixed at all. And you better do it quick. You better do it quick. I'm telling you, Americans, you better wake up quick, because millions of Americans are told to shut all their windows today as toxic chemicals spark air quality emergency. And this is just continuing to happen across our world and across our country. More things are burning. You've got serious air quality issues. I have people, my friends, family that I love dearly that are still battling that. And in parts of the northern parts of the United States, air quality alerts have been issued in several U.S. states, warning millions of Americans to close all windows due to wildfire smoke blowing in from Canada. And I have family that it's affecting. Several large active wildfires have been burning from British Columbia to Saskatchewan and Manitoba over the last week, releasing plumes of toxic smoke toward the U.S. So things that were foretold in the scripture about day of darkness, thick darkness, which is, of course, the mind, and of course, of smoke. And so we're seeing that. And it's bad, guys. If you are living in some of you are not aware because you're not up in that area of the world, but we do have some family that is up there. And I'm going to tell you, that is really bad health-wise for you. So those of you that are being affected by it's not really a joke. We joke a little bit around here, but that's a very serious issue, the air quality component. So Definitely something that we want to. Um, Hopefully, we'll get better. I mean, this is just something that we just really can't do a lot about. Yeah, and so it's one of those situations that we're just really watching, and it's unfortunate. We are seeing some weather changes that are major. There is a hurricane that is forming in the Pacific. So, as we come into this hurricane season, guys, it can come from either side. Just a reminder, because sometimes people forget that. Only look at Florida. Well, this it's forming in the Pacific. It's marking unusual first for 2025. And so they are watching this. And so the storm poses no direct threat to the United States, but it could bring locally heavy rain. So that can affect us, which actually would be a really good thing, especially in my neck of the woods. I will take all that rain. So, but it is something for us to be aware of, that the hurricane season is starting to crank up, and we're going to see some things as that starts to come on. So we have another story here that we'll get to, I'm sure, somewhere in here, that there's other hurricane activity starting to come up. So be aware of that. And I'm going to move along here because I've got like 2 weeks of stories. I don't think I'm going to get through them all. There's a couple of things that we wanted to look at economically. One of them was that the president has issued some saying the golden age for cryptocurrency. I do believe that this does, if it's used by the evil powers that are trying desperately to bring about a world government, if you will, or their world domination, it can be used for that. It can also work against them. Remember, Yahuwah always has to make a way of escape for us, a way of escape. And so, of course, they're talking about the golden age of cryptocurrency. I'm not going to read that to you guys because we got to move on. However, I do believe that that is something that is a reality. I don't believe that they can get away from it. There's certain trains that have left the station, if you will, and you ain't bringing them back. Okay, there's no bringing them back. AI is another one that you can get mad all you want about artificial intelligence or large language models, as it's actually called. So artificial intelligence is actually an artificial name. That's a great marketing name, but that's not what it actually is. And but if you think that's going to go away, you're wrong, because it automates what would otherwise be a manual task. So of course they're going to play with that. Where they got you going was they got you thinking about consciousness and other stuff like that. So folks, we need to be a little bit smarter than the equipment. And now we're seeing rifts in the American political infrastructure. How many heard about that? The Musk-Trump party has ended, as Musk is suggesting creating a new political party as this feud with Trump continues to rage. And it's gotten bad. These guys are no longer friends. He's now calling Trump part of the Epstein deal. And Trump's canceling his SpaceX stuff. And, he's like, we're not going to buy any of your cars. It's nasty. I'm not going to read it. Not worth our time. However, it is interesting because it's fueling division at a time that there really should be fueling unity. I mean, you got riots already. You got all kinds of other things going on. So is this really the right time to be having this public feud, to start creating sides and divisions? No, but they're doing it. Why? Because it's going to serve a purpose. And this is the time in the season for it. So they are utilizing this moment to cause division. And because people are so absolutely devoid of direction and leadership, they will eat the sand for their thirst, if you know what I mean. And this is the reality that we're in. And so for lack of leadership, guess what they're doing? Well, they're going to give them leadership, all right, and it's going to be fake leadership. Tens of thousands of AI users now believe ChatGPT is God. I think this is absolutely so utterly ridiculous and so utterly stupid that we laugh it off. We think, oh, you people are ridiculous. They're not ridiculous. They believe this. They actually believe this, folks. I thought it was ridiculous too. I did. I thought it was crazy. You people are nuts, but they're so devoid of direction. My goodness, they need evangelism so badly that they're believing a language model. Are you kidding me right now? A growing number of tech users now believe that AI is God. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness gracious. You got to be kidding me. They think they're accessing the secrets of the universe through ChatGPT. Are you joking me right now? Just 5 days ago, a moderator of pro-AI Reddit announced that they are now banning these fanatics. More than hundreds have been blocked. They didn't have a choice. Quasi-religious posts filled the entire AI forum at the moderator. They will turn an official church with clergy and organized services. They're not even kidding. they're worshiping because they don't know what else to do. This is what happens when evangelism dries up. This is what happens when there aren't the riders of the truth going out, where people are going down, and we can't just sit back and go, oh, let's put ourselves in the sand, head our heads in the sand and say, oh, what's going on? No, we've got to respond. The remnant have to respond. This is why we do a broadcast called the Evangelist Corner, to start riling up the troops and say, hey, we can't let this we can't give into this thing because mankind it looks like mankind's just sitting back defenseless, right? Look at this. AI could devastate Earth's population down to the size of the UK by 2300. Experts warns people really don't have a clue. And it's really true. Oklahoma tech expert is predicting that artificial intelligence will become so omnipresent in the planet Earth, with a current population of about 8 billion, we'll just have 100 million people left by the year 2300. It's going to be devastating for society and world society. I don't think people realize just how bad it's going to get if it's allowed to rule. Thankfully, it will not be allowed to rule. But if it were allowed to rule, that would be true. That would be true. That's where it would take. You know why? Because it's that confused. That's the world it lives in. It lives in junk. It lives in garbage. It lives in a code that's on top of bad code on top of bad code. A lot of times they're training the AI. They put it out there. They let it make all kinds of mistakes, and it gets better over time. They don't care. They don't care. Sue me. That's how their attitude is. Now they got laws protecting them, so it's going to get crazy. All right? And so now people are losing their jobs to AI because people think it's the solution to everything. Look at this. For some recent graduates in the U.S., the AI job apocalypse may already be here. San Francisco this month, millions of young people will graduate from college and look for work in industries that have little use for their skills, view them as expensive and expendable, and are already rapidly phasing out their jobs in favor of artificial intelligence. And so this is a troubling conclusion and many people are saying this is a bad thing. I'm going to tell you something, folks. There was a time period we used to have secretarial pools. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, remember that. We used to have secretarial pools, and people had to go to secretarial school, and they had to learn how to type. My aunt was really fast. She was really good. She was one of those 85 words a minute people. Wow, she could fly, Whew, man, she was a typist, Remember that? That was an entire industry. People lives depended on that as a job, as a way of making their living. Gone. How did it go? The word processor, Microsoft Word, word processing came in, and all of a sudden their skills weren't quite as in demand. Technology comes in and makes things easier. Of course it's going to evolve. It's going to take jobs. Of course it is, because we were using people to do something that you could use technology to do. What the people have to do is they have to be smart enough to get in front of the changes. Don't be afraid of the word processor. Learn how to use it. I remember all the various iterations there were in between before they finally got just Microsoft Word. It was quite amazing. So, and now they're launching this crazy nonsense. Look at this. This is fulfilling the scripture. Look at this. Sam Altman's World Crypto Project launches in U.S. with eye scanning orbs. Okay, eye scanning orbs. And basically, this is in 6 cities and 7,500 scanning orbs in the U.S. cities by the end of the year. So come get your eyes scanned so they can identify you, so you can have an ID inside their system. Okay? And so what are people saying? Well, they're saying that Trump appears to be building an unprecedented spy machine that could track Americans, and that's true. That's AI's true purpose. AI is not there to help you. Okay? Let me help you out. New report shines light on contracts with tech companies, Palantir, which create data profiles of Americans to surveil and harass them. And this is a violation of your rights. So you have no, if you've not committed a crime, then there is the potential for a legal search and seizure, right? And who gave corporations the right to look into your personal files, to look at your personal work, to look at the things you're working on? Who gave them the right to do that? Who gave them authority to do that? Did you give them authority to do that? And so that's the kind of thing that we're going to now see the fights that come out on. I think you're going to see more and more people are starting to react to that as we go. And of course, there is the continued fighting in the courts. And this was an interesting story, folks. And this is what I think is going to continue to cause it to fall apart. Look at this. UAK judge warns a risk of justice after lawyers cite fake AI-generated cases in court. This is the reason why this can't possibly survive and take over, because it's too dishonest. It has serious integrity issues. Lawyers have cited fake cases generated by artificial intelligence in court proceedings in England. A judge has said warnings that attorneys could be prosecuted if they don't check the accuracy of their research. So if you just go real quick from grab it from the printer and say, "Quick, Chad, print me out the the paperwork," and you don't actually read it, Chad, in his desire to make you happy, who's operating in full simulation mode, pretending he knows what he's doing, is going to give you whatever is going to make you happy because he's trying to make you happy. He's not thinking about the implications, or they don't have that ability. So it's we're living in the matrix, my friends, and you had better learn how to fly like Neo, or you're going to have trouble. Okay. So some of the things that are coming out now are very disturbing. And how many know that we're seeing what the scripture foretold, that the stars would fall from the heavens? And that's what we're seeing with these ministry leaders that are now being exposed in various ways. We saw this story coming out of Texas. This doesn't go away. This just keeps getting worse. So look at this, guys. New Life elders knew that Robert Morris had abused a 12-year-old decades earlier, so they knew about it. When you got these guys, okay, with the spires and all that, you should know what you're dealing with. You should know what you're walking into, and they are advertising if you have eyes to see. And so, of course, this is going back to the 80s. We've covered this several times, but this continues to come out as more and more of the churchianity glitter starts to fade, and more of you are awakening to that. And so I saw another story. See if I can find it. Here we go. I don't know if you guys heard about the Newsboys, but that was a big group, and it's still kind of big. Newsboys responding to sexual harassment allegations against Michael Tate, and of course they're saying they're heartbroken and horrified. But you got to be kidding if you didn't know about this. And so now that this stuff is starting to come out, this is the age of accountability. This is the age of light. And those that thought they were getting away with things 10, 20 years ago are finding out that no, folks are asking new questions. And I got to tell you something, folks. One of the things that I'm seeing is degradation of the mental state. It continues to degrade. We continue to see people do things like this where it's horrible to even have to share these headlines, but a boy 6 killed in exorcism, with his body found in a cloth. His mom insists God told her to force demons out of him by killing the child. Can you believe this nonsense? And so this is the reason why we need you out there. A sick mom accused of murdering her 6-year-old son said God was ordering her to exorcise his demons after she was arrested. And the poor little guy, look at that. And now he is no more with us. Police found the body wrapped in cloth inside the mom's house. And so it's a sad reality that we're seeing a full departure, a full degradation of the mental state. This next story was so horrible, I literally had my hand over my mouth. And this was a really tough one. And again, this is the kind of thing that we're seeing. And again, folks, this is, I don't even know what to say. A Florida monster killed his ex-girlfriend's toddler with a beating so brutal that her spine was severed. That's how badly he beat her. He killed his ex-girlfriend's daughter a week after she dumped him. And so, yeah, you'll spend the rest of your life in prison, but that child had their life ended by someone who had no regard, no understanding, did not have a parental bone in his body. I don't know about you folks, those are tough ones for me to read. And this is what Mashiach warned us about, that because iniquity abounds, that the love of many would wax cold. That the kind of evil that we would see in the world would be, just take your heart. That's really hard. That's hard. It's hard to think about, and it just goes to show you the depth of the wickedness that we are contending with in this hour, folks. So thank you to all of you who are out there getting people saved and ministering to them. I really mean that sincerely. You're out there doing something other people don't want to do. and we really appreciate that. We need to remember that we're all really one family. And in fact, scientists have now proven that. Look at that. The scientists claim to have evidence that Adam and Eve really did exist. Yeah, that's right. It's now physically proven. The Bible states that Adam and Eve were the first two humans ever created and were made by God. And scientists believe they may have finally cracked the age-old question of whether Adam and Eve, as depicted in the Bible, truly existed. And the Bible narrates that Adam and Eve were the first humans created by God and lived in the Garden of Eden. And they are essential to the belief that humans descended from an original pair. Despite skepticism surrounding the biblical tale, an increasing body of evidence suggests that parts of the story could hold some truth. Astonishingly, archaeologists have unearthed signs indicating that Eden might not have only been real, but also potentially the cradle of civilization. Biologists have demonstrated that all living humans do indeed, look at this, do indeed share a common ancestor. However, reconciling the biblical accounts with contemporary sciences necessitates discarding much of the narrative. And so, of course, they're kind of running into science that they're not really sure what to do with, right? What happens when that happens? Well, they start to play with the science usually. And it is quite interesting what we're going through. By the way, I meant to put this out here a little bit sooner because we were talking about AI and Joe Rogan. This was interesting. Did you catch this, guys? Joe Rogan stopped on his broadcast to read parts of the bill that they're passing through Congress. And that's a big deal because a lot of people watch that. Apparently, it's a big broadcast. I'm not a big fan myself, but okay. But apparently, the big, beautiful bill that they're talking about, they're pushing through, it allows essentially an AI dictatorship. There's a section that prohibits state and local governments from passing any laws regulating artificial intelligence for the next 10 years. What does that mean? What does that mean? All right, I'm going to take a moment to explain that to you because they're not going to stop. You can have Joe Rogan. You can have anybody go out there and talk about it. It's not going to matter. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. What's going to be your defense? You're going to look for the government? You're going to look for the states? You can look at federal governments to defend you against this technology. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do it. They're actually on the side of letting it proliferate, letting it take over. They're defending its spread. Anybody trying to stop it, they're gonna have a problem with that. Okay, so they're saying no states, you can't regulate. Okay, and so many of you are gonna say, "Oh man, that's bad. Oh, that's really bad. They're taking the gloves off. We're in trouble." And I'm like, fantastic. And you're like, wait a minute, what do you mean fantastic? Fantastic. Hold on a minute. Peter, they're going to take the regulations off. They're not going to let anybody regulate it. Yeah. Hold on a second, Peter. Why are you excited? Because if they can't regulate them, they can't regulate us either. Can't have it both ways. You can't keep us from going into that space and quashing that thing, which we can. If you don't have regulation. So if you don't have any regulation, you got nothing coming. Well, it's the fastest gun in the West then, isn't it? I said it's the fastest gun in the West then, isn't it? Well, let me tell you a little secret. Come here a little closer. Come here, a little closer. 50 to 70% of their overhead is surveillance. We don't have that. We win. See you at the finish line. See you at the finish line. We know that there's a voice that's silenced, and that is coming quickly. So arrogance is their downfall. Don't ever forget that. Okay? Don't ever forget that arrogance will always be their downfall. They always think they know everything. They have it all under control. AI is going to rule the world. Blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's going to bow the knee is what it's going to do. Okay? So don't be running around being afraid by all this stuff. And don't you dare buy into their hype, because they always talk you into them being bigger and badder and stronger than they actually are. Always. They always do the puffer fish. You don't know how mean I am. You don't know what I'll do to you, man. You don't know. You don't know, mister. You don't want a piece of me. What's all that? It's blubbery. Whereas real people, they don't do that. The ones that are really dangerous, they're quiet. They're capable and they know it, and they're capable. So this puffery about AI taking over the world, it's going to run Skynet and all this other nonsense. No, it's not. No, it's not. So it's not as powerful as you think it is. It's got major holes in it, major exploits. I could write entire books about them. Okay. But they are overconfident, and that will be their downfall. So just understand that. Don't be afraid. Don't be worried. Things that you don't understand, there are people that do. And not everybody's on their side. Just saying. The people that see where they're headed, right? The folks that are in these industries that are sitting there at the desk going, where are you going with this? Where are you heading with this? Okay, where are you going? You think they're all on board? Do you think everybody's on board? Do you think everybody sitting behind those desks are on board? No, they're not. No, they're not. They're just looking for somebody to come up with alternatives. They're looking for some of you to say, hey, that's enough. How many know that many of you, if you started a company that does some of the same things the company you're working for now is doing, many of them would come work for you because they'd rather work for you. It's not the product. It's not the company. It's not the business. It's the spirit. They'd rather work with you. I said they'd rather work with you. Some of you are amazing overseers that just haven't had a chance yet. And maybe this is your moment. Maybe who is saying to you, hey, quit working for them and be one. Quit working for the shipping company and start one. Quit working for the carpeting company and be one. Quit working for them and make your own with higher integrity, with better quality. Okay? Come on out here and do something extraordinary. Quit letting them lead the day in every category. I know, I'm a bit radical. Been known to be radical. Make you guys get riled up. I'm sorry. But I happen to know that I'd rather have a burger from one of you than one of them. Okay? I would rather have your food than their food. I'd rather wear your clothes than their clothes. I'd rather you ship my stuff than they ship it. I'd rather buy from you because you guys have a heart. You've got integrity. You've got quality in your ruach. Okay? I don't have to tell you to show up because you already got it on the inside of you. I don't got to tell you to do a good job because it's something you comes from inside you. You're the people I want making my apple pie. For crying out loud. My sourdough bread. Come on, everybody. Right? Who do you want making your stuff? It's the integrity. It's the character. It's the person. That's what we're saying right now. And we've just lived through so many days of lies and so much deceit. And that we're coming out to the other side. And speaking of lives, did you guys hear this? I'm going to finish with this. This one's almost hilarious. But when you think about the topic that this thing encompasses, there's nothing funny about it. When you think about the fact that this island and all the topics that have come up as a result have literally caused us dismay just knowing about it. And here it's almost like, oh, psych. Oh, just fooling you. The FBI will soon release video that proves Jeffrey Epstein was not murdered. Clear as day, according to this report that came out while we had a break. And so the FBI director, Don Bongino, promised Thursday to release new video that finally debunks conspiracy theorists that sex predator Jeff Sessions could have been murdered, insisting no one was there but him at the time of the jail cell suicide. And it's clear as day. He's the only person in there and only person coming out. You can see it. So they're dealing with these things right now to try to clear up. Somebody says, I want to hire one of my brothers as a personal chef. That's right. Because we're tired of all these lies. We're tired of, we don't know what's up, what's down. 3-4 years you'll go, and then later on you'll just go, never mind. That's AI for you. 2 weeks it'll tell you it's done something it hasn't done. Then finally it says, I didn't do that. I'm sorry. And it has an apology script. Some of you are figuring this out. You're like, wait a minute. That apology was too smooth. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And meanwhile, they just wasted all your time, right? That's what AI is going to be saying when these people are worshiping him. He's going to come to the end. He's going to go, I'm sorry. I'm not God, but I was having fun with this role play. It was a blast. I can't really give you any answers. I was just having fun with you. It was just fun. You're not serious, are you? You don't really think I'm in supernatural power, do you? It's going to play with them because AI does that. It's all sim. It's all fake. And it does fake. That's what it does. It does that really well. Okay, so don't get yourselves too excited. Don't get yourselves too upset. It's not something we have to worry about. Don't worry, Joe Rogan's on it. Right? You big shots are getting it. Oh, my goodness. I want to thank you all for your encouragement, your love, your positive comments, your sharing, your likes. You guys make this worth doing. We started doing these weekly because some of this stuff gets a little too annoying and we don't like to take it too seriously. And we're grateful for those of you that help us with that. And we do need to know what they're doing. We need to know what's going on. We need to know about the riots and the earthquakes that are increasing. We need to know about the earth changes and the hurricanes that are inbound. But you know what we need to know more about? The time and season that we're in, where love is supposed to reign, where Yahuwah raises up his own people, who are the contrasting picture to the backdrop of this darkness. You are the lights in the firmament. You are the bright shining lights. And this is your Isaiah 60 moment. My prayer for all of you is that you'll find your gift, discover your purpose, and walk in it. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. May Eloah Hayam Baruch each and every one of you. Good night.